On September 9th in 1998, Insomniac Games released a 3D platformer by the name of Spyro the Dragon. Then, 20 years later, something happened.
Spyro. 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 I'm getting a little winded.
I think I smell a barbecue. Looks like I've got some things to do.
Spyro the Reignited Trilogy was released and is currently on PS4 and PC, and it will be on Xbox and Switch this September. Now, I'm going to talk about each of the games on this collection, but I'm going to do them all in separate videos. Most likely over the next few weeks, unless I want to talk about something else in the middle of these videos. So Spyro 1's remake is a great start off. The first thing we were greeted with starting the story is an interview with one of the dragons who starts insulting Nasty Nork, our antagonist for the game. Angered, Nasty Nork turns all the dragons into statues excluding Spyro, and we have to release them all on our quest to stop Nasty Nork. So right off the back, this game looks beautiful. Toys for Bob put a lot of effort into making sure the Reignited Trilogy is a one-to-one recreation of the original trilogy, so I'm not going to judge the story of these games because they're all gathered these things to stop the villain. So let's look at how the game plays. Spyro 1 is very fluid, and playing the game I had absolutely no problems with any of the controls in the first game. They did refine some of the paths the enemies take, like the thieves that now move in a more curved path, allowing them to move slightly faster. Toys for Bob also added a few things to the first game that weren't in the original. Now, if you click in on the left thumbstick, sparks will point to the closest gem in relation to you, helping you in case you get all the way to the end of the level and are missing a gem or two. They also added special items you can find that give you skill points to unlock concept art for the game as you unlock them. The concept art is pretty cool, and the challenges you have to complete range from easy to infuriatingly hard. Now, the game itself runs pretty smoothly, and I never really had any issues. I don't think I ran into too many glitches in the first Spyro game. The only one I can think of is sometimes Spyro will fly straight into the air when you spawn into a level. And the game never crashed on me while playing. And that's saying something because most of the newer games I played on PS4 crash on me at least once in my time playing. The original Spyro game is actually very easy, as the game is very simple. With only 2 attack buttons, Spyro is limited to charging in his fire breath to defeat enemies. Sure, you can jump on cannons in the second hub world, but they don't move and you don't really have the ability to defeat a lot of enemies with them. Out of all the games in the Reignited Trilogy, Spyro the Dragon is the one I know best. It also feels like the most varied in terms of level design. Each of the hub worlds, barring the last one, has the dragons redesigned to appear as part of that world. There's artisan dragons, magician dragons, soldier dragons, and swamp dragons. I like these designs because they all feel varied and unique. Toys for Bob also added the original soundtrack along with the Reignited soundtrack, which you can switch between at any time. There's also a few little things to point out, like when you breathe the fire on grass, it burns before returning to normal. And one last thing before I'm done with the first game. We also have a slew of idle animations for Spyro. My personal favorite is when he sneezes, and hopefully I'll have some form of footage for that. Spyro 1 was enjoyable 20 years ago, and is still just as good today. So how do the others fare? Well, we'll have to wait and see next time. Spyro 2, Repto's Rage. So before we start this part, I should let you know my involvement in the original trilogy is incredibly limited. I grew up with Spyro the Dragon on PS1, but never got to play Spyro 2 until about halfway into the 4th grade, and I only played about half of the first level. After that, I hadn't played the second game until I bought it off the PlayStation Network when I got a PSP, and I played half the game before restarting on my PS3, where I played half the game and stopped. So before the Reignited Trilogy, I had never beat Spyro 2 and never touched Year of the Dragon. So I was actually really excited about playing the second game. So this will essentially be my first impressions on the game. So this game is split up into 3 areas: the Summer Forest, Autumn Plains, and the Winter Tundra. Now I like these areas, but the Summer Forest is my least favorite of the hub worlds. It's big, but it feels so confined, with the areas split up, unlike all the hub worlds in the first game, where you have a big open space to run around. Well, all except for Nasty's world. The Autumn Plains is much better in this regard, because while still confined, there's a sense of openness from the world that the Summer Forest just doesn't have. I mean, if you explore the castle, you can find a secret path to get you on top of a tower where you can glide to anywhere. The first game was great about making you feel like you can go anywhere in the small levels, and the big levels keep you from needing to go too far out. The hub worlds in Spyro 2 don't elicit this feeling for me, but most of the actual levels do though. The only thing I have to say about the Winter Tundra is, where's all the snow? There's so much grass, but not enough snow. It's even snowing, but it's hard to see unless if you look up. Okay, so Spyro 2 has new gameplay mechanics. In each level, if you defeat enough enemies, you can activate a gate, I'm going to call them, that give you a range of abilities. Most have a time limit like the Super Breath or Flight Power, while some like the Super Jump and Supercharge aren't limited by the time limit, just by skill. So Spyro 2 has bigger worlds and more features, but it's at the cost of amount of levels and length. We only had 3 bosses that all have their own way of defeating them, which I do like. It adds more replayability to the fights. In fact, I found the Ripto fight to be the best in the trilogy. And before I forget, each level begins and ends with the little cutscenes introducing you to the problem you have to solve to get the orb of the level. They're cute and interesting, I guess, but I didn't really find any of them funny. Then again, I was in high school the first time I saw them. Now, we also have some new allies in the game. These are the Professor, Allura the Fawn, and Hunter the Cheetah. I'm going to go ahead and say the Professor will have no impact on me. I like Allura, and I'll talk about Hunter next time. There's also Moneybags, the true villain of the series. He didn't really bother me too much, except when I didn't have enough money to pay him and had to come back later to learn whatever was needed. Again, I didn't have any glitches while playing, so it runs really well. The game is fun, and I enjoyed most of my time spent playing. I did play through about half the game on my other channel before I got bored with the series and finished it on my own time, so if you're interested, I'm sure you can find it. So Spyro 2 is a lot of fun with its new gameplay mechanics and balanced everything pretty well. While I know I'm going to come back to Spyro 1 from time to time, I wouldn't mind coming back to Ripto's Rage either. Year of the Dragon! Okay, I'm ready. So cards on the table, I'm not a big fan of Year of the Dragon. Now that doesn't mean it's a bad game, it can actually be really fun from time to time, and Spyro 3 is easily the most challenging game of the trilogy. The hub worlds are better than Spyro 2, but slightly worse than the hub worlds of Spyro 1. The actual levels, I'll be honest, I don't really remember them. I remember 3 of them. The one with the pirate ship, the one at the end that's a Midwest town, and Enchanted Towers. The reason why is most of the levels in Spyro 3 use a lot of green. The last fleet and Dino Mines are ones I remember because they are well tanned. They use a more stylized world and stand out from other levels. There are other levels that are sandy and stand out, but I honestly don't remember them. Spyro 1 was great about level design. Each one was stylized to the hub world, and some, like the Ice Cavern, go against the hub world. Like, the levels in the Artisan world stand out from each group of levels from the other hubs. I remember most, if not all, of Spyro 1's levels. Ripto's Rage also has this problem, though the levels do vary from each other, they just don't fit the hub very well. I mean, the Icy Speedway being in the Autumn Plains, come on. They at least got the Ocean Speedway correct. So Spyro 3 has new minigames as well. The Speedways now have their time attacks and races. The races are challenging but not very fun, and in each Speedway you can find Hunter, who will give you a challenge, and in some of these challenges, you get the dishonor of playing as Hunter. So we're now getting into the part of the game that I don't like. Now, there's 200 minigames that stand out. The first is an on-rails shooting minigame, and the second is a follow the leader minigame where you fly through rings that you can't see ahead of time. Now, the shooting minigame is absolutely horrible. Like, 0 out of 10 terrible. For one, your reticle is a circle in the center of the screen, and what's annoying is, because Hunter is constantly turning without your control, aiming is non-existent. Which sucks because even if you could aim properly, when you fire, the laser doesn't go to the center of the circle, but to the bottom of the circle. So shooting goes from accidentally hitting something you were aiming for to I can't believe that hit, and finally to just hit the stupid UFO! This is the reason why I hate Hunter. So on top of playing as Hunter, we also get new characters we get to play as Sheila the Kangaroo, Sergeant Bird, Bentley the Yeti, and Agent 9, the gun-wielding monkey. I'll go ahead and say, I like Sheila, she plays pretty well, and I hate everyone else. Bentley is way too slow for me, coupling that with a minigame that makes you hit a bunch of really fast creatures and not hit another bunch of fast creatures in under a minute. Yeah, I don't like playing as him. Agent 9 only has 2 levels, and I already talked about the shooting mechanics. At least his shots ricochet. Then the Bird. I hate him more than any other character. Why? Because he's slow, requires you to aim missiles that thankfully track enemies. He feels slower in the air than on foot, which for a flying character like this is a cardinal sin. I mean, when Spyro flies, he feels just as, if not even faster than standard. There's also skating minigames. They're just kind of there. So Spyro 3 has 4 bosses. They all suck, because the game requires you to fight with the character you unlocked in the hub world for the bosses, and Spyro on his own cannot harm the bosses. First boss, knock him into the lava so Sheila can damage him. Second boss, wait for the bird to drop ammo so you can damage his boss. The third, same thing, wait for ammo, then wait for the boss to drop their guard and attack. And the final is the least satisfying boss in the franchise. and I've not even played most of the Spyro games. So, how do you fight the final boss? Well, you have to use a cannon, a tank, and a flying saucer to fight the boss. The first two have limited ammo while the final one doesn't, and the monkey provides you with them. However, the machines move super slowly, and if you get hit on one, you have to find another. That's fine, next time I'll get off and back on. Nope, gotta find another. The flying saucer at least gives the flying fire-breathing dragon infinite flight and fireballs to attack with. Wait a minute. Yeah, kinda stupid that the final boss in Spyro 3 forces you to use a machine to fly and use fire to hurt the boss. It's not like Spyro 1 had flight and super fire as a small feature for you. I mean, Spyro 2 only had an air battle with the final boss where you could play chicken with him. I mean, that's leagues below slow-moving artillery and poorly controlling UFO mechanics. Seriously, why is this the final boss? Rizzo was an awesomely designed boss with the orb mechanics that could give you power-ups to damage the boss, where if you were too slow, they could pick up the orbs to power themselves up to attack you. And Nasty Norik was satisfying enough when you finally get to chase him down and to set fire to him. So why is this the final boss? Oh well, don't worry. If you manage to get 100% and get into the super bonus round, you can fight her again. Wait, this level has the unlimited super flight and super flame? Oh, this is gonna be an awesome... Wait a minute. Flying saucer, unlimited flight, and ammo. Oh, son of a... So compare this to the other 100% bonuses. Spyro 1 gave you an open level with super flights. Spyro 2 gave you unlimited super flame that you could use in every single level. Spyro 3 gives you both and lets you fight the final boss again, but not with the super flight and super flame. So in conclusion, Spyro 3 is an okay game. I think it's the worst of the trilogy. Year of the Dragon really did strive to offer the most to the players, and they did. But it also became the most complex game of the three. And what brought people to the original was fun gameplay and the simplicity of the first game. Rizzo's Rage added more but managed to stay just as fun, and Year of the Dragon just missed the mark. Now this isn't a bad game. I do like most of it, just not the bosses and most of the side characters. Honestly, the game just didn't age too well, unlike the others. If I had played this in the early 2000s, I'm sure I would have loved it, but I didn't. I did find one glitch in the game. If you enter a world and leave while the screen is still black, you can do this in the loading screen. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, if you want to support this channel, the best way is to subscribe and like the video. Also, if you want to see me review something, leave your suggestions in the comments below, and if you want to see each episode early, I have a Patreon, and it's only $1 a month to get everything early. Thanks for watching.